I think it's just one of those diseases that no one wants to hear about.
Fear of the unknown was frankly worse than the procedures themselves in some respects.
I guess you never really pay attention until it actually really happens.
At the beginning, when it was all, all darkness and unknown, we were all scared and we didn't know where to turn for help. And so the more resources there are to help people get through that initial stage especially is really important.
We have the benefit in Charlotte of having a dedicated team of people who are very interested in this problem.
There are people out there that really care and do want them to feel comfortable.
There is absolutely hope out there.
WBTV on your side tonight, showing you how the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas, right here in Charlotte, is improving the odds of one day beating brain cancer. Hello, I'm Delano Little.
Welcome, I'm Tanya Bendix, and thanks for joining us this evening. You know, in just 1 week from now, right here in the streets of Center City, Charlotte, North Carolina, professional cyclists from all across the country will be racing around in the Presbyterian Hospital Invitational Criterium.
And Tanya, it's a race that raises money for the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas, a very important organization right here in Charlotte.
Some of my favorite people, you know, they provide hope and also improve the odds of survival for people with brain cancer in our area. The Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas was founded in 2003 by these two men, Charlotte neurosurgeon Dr. Tony Asher and retired Bank of America executive Jim Palermo. The two met by someone simply introducing them.
They knew I had a great interest in brain cancer because my son is a brain cancer survivor. And of course, Dr. Asher has great interest in brain cancer because that is a field that he does so much surgery in.
Jim Palermo's son, whose name is also Jim, was diagnosed with a brain tumor when he was a freshman in college. Before the tumor, Palermo was in the Foreign Service School at Georgetown University.
But while he was laying in a bed after surgery in the neurosurgery unit at Georgetown University Hospital, he suddenly sort of a light came on, and I know his mom said to him, "Are you thinking about becoming a doctor?" And he said, "Yes, I am." Now, you know, he had just come out of anesthesia, so you know, you said, okay, is he hallucinating? What is this?
But he wasn't hallucinating. Palermo went to medical school and is now treating cancer patients as a radiation oncologist at Wake Forest Medical Center. He's a 20-year brain cancer survivor. Jim Palermo Sr. knows what it's like getting the news that a loved one has a brain tumor.
I can tell you as a parent, it doesn't feel very good. It's very confusing. You don't know where to turn. There's nobody to guide you. And we felt like patients who are diagnosed with brain cancer needed support, needed guidance.
That was one of the goals in creating the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas, to improve support for brain tumor patients and their families. The BTFC also works to raise awareness about brain tumors.
We've been able to raise a lot of money. I think we've really done a great job raising awareness. It certainly couldn't have happened without Jim and his energy. And I think this whole community has benefited from it.
There's really been less champions in the past, and so I think that's part of the real advantage the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas offers, is the ability to advocate for patients with brain tumors.
Tonight we're here to help the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas raise awareness about brain tumors.
You may be surprised at just how many brain tumors there are out there and how many different cancers actually spread to the brain. There are two forms of brain cancer. About 20 to 25,000 people in the United States develop primary brain cancer every year. That's brain cancer that originates in the brain. Then there's brain cancer that spreads to the brain from another part of the body.
If you look at all patients with cancer, and the American Cancer Society says that's about 1.4 million people every year, fully 20, maybe even 25% of those patients during the course of their illness will develop spread of the cancer from their primary site to the brain. That totals somewhere between 250 and 300,000 individuals every year. It's just an astounding number.
Dr. Tony Asher is the director of the brain tumor programs at Carolinas Medical Center and Presbyterian Hospital.
When you think about it, I mean, the human brain is this fantastic organ, and the essence of human existence resides in the brain. I mean, what makes us uniquely human is our ability to communicate, our ability to think, our ability to move in very sophisticated ways. You know, language is a uniquely human function. There's no question that brain cancer is of great significance, because brain cancer has a much greater potential to rob individuals of quality of life.
But the good news is there have been great advancements in the treatment of brain cancer in recent years.
Surgical techniques have been greatly advanced over the last several years. We're taking out tumors through extremely small exposures. We're using the computers in the operating room to guide our removals of these tumors. Our techniques are becoming more refined, and some patients are going home the day after having a brain tumor removed. It's astounding.
Dr. Asher works closely with Dr. Stuart Burry, a radiation oncologist and chairman of the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas.
I think that historically, in the 50 years ago, there wasn't a lot that could be done, and that's really not the case at all now. There are many excellent treatments that have very good outcomes, far better than have been the case.
Both doctors are excited about research to try to figure out why certain cancers spread to the brain.
There's been some research we've done analyzing how tumors are different after they're in the brain than they are in the body, which really is the holy grail of cancer treatment. We're very good at fixing cancer problems where they exist in most situations, a breast tumor or lung cancer. The big problem is tumors spreading somewhere else in the body.
Metastatic cancer to the brain, I think, is such a significant issue. It could be the rallying point, if you will, for awareness of all cancers, because all major cancers go to the brain.
The Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas has been instrumental in funding research on this topic.
What we don't know is why certain individuals with cancer, say lung cancer or breast cancer, have tumors that travel to the brain and why some don't. If we can understand those basic mechanisms, we could maybe block those things from happening.
Now that you know a little bit more about brain tumors, well, we wanted to give you a little bit more information on how you can help people in our area who have brain tumors. The Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas, well, you can support it by donating on their website. We've created a link on our website, WBTV.com.
You can also come down to Center City, Charlotte for their biggest fundraiser. It's the Presbyterian Hospital Invitational Criterium. That event is coming up August 7th. The Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas has hosted the Criterium every year since 2004. Now, the race is free to anyone to attend, but the Brain Tumor Fund raises money through sponsorships.
Here's some video from last year's race, Tanya, broadcast on WBTV. Very exciting stuff as always. There's a women's race and a men's race. The Criterium here in Charlotte is part of the USA Cycling's national racing calendar. Riders from all over will be right here in Charlotte, traveling at speeds around 30 miles per hour through our city streets. So mark it on your calendar. August 7th, the Presbyterian Criterium, always a lot of fun, and you can help out the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas just by coming out and watching the big event.
Yeah, we will be here, and the money the fund raises goes towards brain tumor research and also funds a very important position, the patient navigator.
It's very crazy, all of a sudden, all the terms and all the doctors that you need to see. I mean, and it's a very hard thing to just jump into because we weren't expecting this at all.
And that's where the patient navigator comes in. Renee Kelly's job is to help people diagnosed with brain tumors and their families deal with the news and work through the process.
I can't tell you how many times I walk into a room and I get a big hug. And it's nice to know, because I think a lot of the patients and their family know that I'm providing them with some information at a time where they just don't know where to go.
Julie and Mike Sweet have been working with Renee since March, when Julie was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
On the very first day, she was there to give me the information, and throughout the process, anytime I need anything, you know, she offers that up.
She has been extremely beneficial, you know, to help people and to keep the positive attitude.
I feel that emotionally, my position is to let them know that there are treatments out there and there is a plan, and that as devastating as the diagnosis seems, most of the times we have a path that we can take.
Is kind of a process, because the first time it was like, oh my gosh, I have this disease. With all the help the medical community can provide now, I feel hopeful.
There is hope, and a big part of Renee's job is to educate people about brain tumors and treatment options.
I try to fill in the blanks, help them with a little bit of education so that when they go home and start looking up things and people start questioning them, they have a little bit of information.
Renee keeps busy between meeting with patients in person and answering their phone calls and emails. But just by talking to her, you can tell Renee has a real passion for her job.
Oh, I just love it. And I love working with people, and I love providing them with information that can make their lives better.
Renee also tries to bring some optimism to families.
I think a lot of times when they turn off their feelings or look at it in anger, they just don't absorb a lot of the information and a lot of the help that is out there. So I think it gives them a little bit more hope.
Julie Sweet's hope and positive attitude have brought her a long way.
The doctors and the nurses all saw my positive attitude, and I think it really made a huge difference with my recovery process.
Julie had to go to the hospital for radiation every day for 6 weeks. She goes to speech and physical therapy, and she takes a pill form of chemotherapy.
I'm coming wonderfully. I'm coming along wonderfully.
Julie's already back to work and planning a trip with her 2 daughters, Samantha and Taylor. She'll be honored before the race at this year's Presbyterian Hospital Invitational Criterium.
She was chosen primarily because she has an excellent attitude. She's positive in her thinking, and she provides a lot of hope for herself and for her family around her, and I think it's just an inspiration to work with her and to see her.
Between Renee's help for families dealing with surviving brain tumors and also the research going on, the Brain Tumor Fund for the Carolinas is really, Delano, providing so much hope.
Now, coming up here, Tanya, on Improving the Odds, one man has used hope and positive thinking to help him become a brain tumor survivor story. That's coming up on Improving the Odds.
Welcome back to this WBTV On Your Side special presentation, Improving the Odds. Well, as you can imagine, being diagnosed with a brain tumor is a very scary situation, and it's one that every person deals with a little differently.
Well, for one local man who works right here in Center City, I can tell you, he and his family decided to take a positive attitude about it, and boy, the results have been fantastic.
It is a true survivor story.
It's one of those things where you always heard about it as sort of the worst case possible disease you can imagine, but one that you've never known anyone who've had and you'd never imagine yourself getting.
To see Phil Wirtz now, playing in the yard with his dog Sunshine,
Hey, drop it.
You wouldn't guess what he went through just a few years ago. But in December 2005, Phil was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Doctors don't know what caused his tumor, and Phil never had any symptoms until one day he had a seizure at work.
I started having conversations with my colleagues, and really everyone actually thought that I was drunk at the time because I just was making no sense. I was sort of stammering. I couldn't put words together.
Phil was rushed to the hospital and was soon after diagnosed with a brain tumor. A few months later, he underwent a 7-hour procedure to remove the tumor.
We also